Myself, Mac Bubbles, we decided to take the show out of the studio into the pub here, some more familiar surroundings for some of the boys. We're going to be joined by former Galway All-Ireland winner David Burke, five-time All-Ireland winner with Limerick, Seamus Flanagan, in just a couple of moments' time. We're going to obviously look ahead to tomorrow's big final between Limerick and Galway. We're going to take a little trip down memory lane with the lads as well. They've had some massive battles over the years. But more importantly, we're also going to take a look back on the season it's been so far. What a season it's been. We've had an All-Ireland series with no Kilkenny. An All-Ireland series without the reigning All-Ireland champions Tipperary. Make sure if you're chatting to Bubbles O'Dwyer later to bring that up. We've had no Wexford this year either. If you're chatting to Conor MacDonald, he's probably a bit more used to that than the rest of the lads. But we've had a brilliant series so far, so this is a great way to bring it to an end. First of all, we're going to introduce our resident Beyond the 65 hosts. It's Mr. Conor MacDonald and John Bubbles O'Dwyer. Well, lads, as I said there, we are out of the studio, into the pub. It's something we've been speaking about doing for quite a while, Mac. Happy for this now? Great timing for it?
Yeah, great timing. Probably the first time that I can't hear you with Wicklow going so well there last weekend as well. So.
Oh, Wicklow. Oh, Wicklow.
But yeah, delighted with tonight. And thanks for everyone for coming as well. And it's been in the pipeline for a bit now.
Certainly has. Bubbles, we have rolled out the red carpet in terms of some of the guests we have on tonight. David Burke, Seamus Flanagan, two lads that you would have had many a battle with over the years. Two good lads to call in for the final that's in it.
Yeah, I suppose they are. Feel sorry for Mac. He's the only one on the panel that doesn't have an All-Ireland medal. Just had to get that.
Now, I have a few All-Ireland boxing medals in.
Yeah, I've no doubt about that either. I've seen you in action a couple of times, but yeah, look, the boys. Look, David, captain Galway, I suppose, and Seamus been with that good Limerick team for the last number of years, and it just shows the money that's in club coaching. You know, Seamus not being on the Limerick panel, he's training the club in Tipperary. He's getting 500 a night. So there's a reason why you step away from inter-county panels if you're being offered money like that.
Are they paying that in Gory, Mac? No.
I wouldn't pay Bubbles that anyway. I guarantee that.
Well, without further ado, it's time to welcome one of Galway's greatest ever players. He captained them to All-Ireland success in 2017. He's got 3 Leinster titles. He's a 4-time All-Star, 2 Club All-Ireland titles as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. David Burke. And now a man whose silverware collection needs no introduction. A 5-time All-Ireland winner with the Limerick, 5-time Munster champion and former All-Star. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Seamus Flanagan. Lads, welcome to Beyond the 65 Live. I'm glad we got you tonight. David, I'm going to start off with you. Yeah. You know exactly what it's like on the eve of an All-Ireland hurling final. For many of us, we might watch the hurling final, sit down, watch it for 70 minutes, and we think that that's it. But what is this week on the run-up like to it? Is there sleepless nights? Like, how much analysis is there? What is the night before really like?
Yeah, I suppose with the 2 weeks, you're with the management team, they're probably trying to squash in a little bit, maybe the Thursday night or the weekend before, and then it's very much sharpen up the group and during the week, ball work, keeping lads fresh, making sure that in this sun anyway, in this heat, I suppose staying in out of it is key. But look, it's every lad is different in their preparation for games, and they'll very much keep it the same, especially the Friday or Saturday night before the final. Look, when I was younger, we played Kilkenny in 12 and 15, and you're coming into it and very much shielding yourself from the build up to the game. Probably 4 week gap into the final, but I suppose into 17, a bit more experience, you probably take it in a little bit more what it means to people in the club, first and foremost, and then you see what it means to people in the county. So you kind of take it in a little bit more what it means to them, and then that kind of helps you, I suppose, over the weekend of the game, and then focusing on your job and stuff like that. So it's this week, for me anyway, being a supporter, it's been brilliant watching the colour going up around the place in the week, and
a few points.
Enjoying it, like it's great. Seeing this lad and the boys a good bit during the week, but it's I know special. Like after the semi-final win over Cork, I think people in Galway wouldn't have foreseen that level of victory. I wouldn't have. I knew we might have been close to them. But look, we're coming up against a different animal on Sunday and just really looking forward to tomorrow.
Seamus, you're well used to this. You've been on the eve of All-Ireland finals many a time. I know there were some serious characters in that Limerick change room over the course of your career. We spoke a couple of weeks back about the likes of Cian Lynch, Kyle Hayes. What's the role for those sort of lads as well? You know, they're the jokers of the group. Are they trying to relax everyone else? What's it actually like? Is the team together the night before?
No, so we used to always travel up the morning of. I think my brother Sean will know this well. I think it was 2018. My parents were heading up, and they'd obviously be heading up earlier. But I remember I got a phone call. They'd left, and I got a phone call. I'd say about 20 minutes later. Are you definitely up? Are you definitely up? Are you definitely up? No. What time is that bus leaving at? So I think that was one of my first memories in 2018. So, but that's, I suppose, when you're around a group that's so laid back, and that's always been the case with this Limerick team. There's great characters in that dressing room. You talk about Keane and you talk about Kyle, but even the likes of Nicky and those lads, they keep it so light-hearted, and it's the same way as if you're going out in a Munster League game as it is going out in an All-Ireland final. And I suppose the key for that is just to not let that change. If you change, then all of a sudden your mind starts drifting and saying, God, this is different. Why is this different? This is not what I'm used to. So just sticking to that same kind of, I know it's probably the age-old quote of sticking to that process, but there's a process within the game, but there's also a process before that game then as well, and sticking to that then off the field as well.
Bubbles, for you, what were you like on the build-up to it? Were you anxious to just want to get out there, suffer with nerves? What was your build-up like to matches like this?
I know I wouldn't be nervous. I remember back in the first couple that we had, say in 13 and 14, and we 2 and 14 and in 16. I remember Conor O'Mahony used to drive up. He wouldn't travel on a bus because he'd get travel sickness on a bus. So I used to go up with Conor with Shane McGrath and Cathal Barrett, and we used to be playing Dancing at the Crossroads on the way up to the match, just having a bit of crack in the car, and like the bus would be getting a guard escort in, and Mahoney would be up behind the bus, like trying to get the escort in, like so. Them lads would make you feel relaxed, and then the older you get, like, and I suppose the more you play, you're used to it, and you know, once you get there and you get out into the pitch and walk around, you know, that's when a few nerves might settle in. When we're walking around in the parade, then you're just looking up in the crowd and you're trying to just spot someone that you know in there, and you know, and then just when the ball is thrown in, then there's no real nerves. But like it's massive. Like we were saying earlier, like Galway have a lot of older experienced lads, and then they have a lot of younger lads as well that don't have any experience. Like, so it'll be interesting to kind of balance what Galway have in the last couple of weeks, and then for tomorrow as well. And look, Limerick are well used to it. They've been here numerous occasions the last 10 years, so I don't think it'll be any issue for them.
Yeah, some season for Galway, David. We're going to start off with Galway and chat a bit about the season so far. When we spoke a couple of months ago, that was prior to the Leinster final, obviously before that huge win over Cork as well. As a Galway man and for the people of Galway, did this seem a bit soon? Was it expected around the county? I know with Mahon coming back, he does build, but...
With Mahon, it definitely wasn't. He would have planned to be here this year, definitely would have. He wouldn't have been talking down that this year, even putting in the young lads. He would have been saying to them, look, we're good enough to be there, especially after the league performances. Yes, we didn't get the results, but we played quite well. And even if the young lads didn't play that well, he stuck with them throughout the few matches, even if they'd pick up injuries. But he would have been telling them, we're good enough to compete against these teams. He showed in the league. The Limerick one was probably a big one, where they came back at them, came down the home stretch, and were there within a whisker. So I think that was huge, and it kind of gave them belief. But the biggest thing was getting his business done in the Leinster Championship, getting to the Leinster final and winning in Croke Park. And I referenced this a good bit, the middle cohort of lads in their mid-20s who've lost a few Leinsters. I was there as well, to Kilkenny. Them getting over the line, like confidence breeds confidence, and winning in Croke Park, the lads will say this the same. It brings on the team massively, and when you go up there the next day, you want to win in Croke Park again. You get that buzz from the crowd, and even the last after the Cork game, the lads and the players, in that 5 or 6 minutes after the game, and you're going around to your teammates, you get that buzz. They'll be saying, why can't we replicate this again the next day? And that's the message Mahon will be driving home. It's simple as that. Why can't we do it? Yes, we're coming up against a really good team, but if we perform to the best we can, we're in with a chance.
Are you missing it? Is there any part of you that wishes that you stayed one more year?
I know, I'm enjoying it. Like I always said it from the start. When I was done, I knew I gave it me all to the jersey, and that's all I could give. And when you're in, you have to be really in. Like, you're in from the start. There's no half in. And I know lads used to say when the train is leaving the station, you're either on it or you're not. And I wasn't on this year, and that's it. I gave me all and it's there. And I'm delighted for the lads that they got that little bit of silverware in Croke Park. And look, who knows? A little bit of luck in finals is key. You never know what can happen. Black cards, red cards, there's all this talk, and how the referee goes in the middle will be key. But you need that little bit of luck, and I'm just hoping the younger lads, it's not too daunting, and that they can play to the best of their ability, and if it's good enough, we'll be in the mix in the last few minutes.
Mac, we've been very open on how good the young lads in this Galway team have been. Aaron Nyland, Jason Rabbit, Neary, like there's too many to name. They've been seriously impressive, but is this another huge test for them now tomorrow to go up and do this against this sort of Limerick team?
Yeah, well, against the Limerick team, it's going to be a test whether you're a seasoned campaigner or you're not. Your first year, but I think it might actually help them in some ways. I remember seeing the Bubbles in the first round of the league. They played Tip down in Semple Stadium Thursday night, and I was blown away by their physicality. We actually spoke about Tip's physicality on that day as well. But they were matched them for everything. Jason Rabbit made his debut. I was just really, really impressed with him, and it was probably, when I first came into the Wexford panel, it was probably the same sort of dynamic where there was a lot of kind of guys heading out the back door, and there's a good crew of under 21s that were coming in. So I kind of could, you could see resemblance there in those teams. But look, I'd say there's probably half the bus, the top of the bus or the back of the bus, maybe actually the back of the bus, but the young lads are probably going up just excited. And the older boys are probably sitting up, experienced guys are looking back saying, "Geez, I hope these lads are dialed in." But that's a good mix, I think, particularly going up against a seasoned team and a team who, have been there, for nearly the last decade now at this stage. Anything can happen in a final. As David said, there's lots of influences, but they'll go and cut loose. They've, in a lot of ways, in a lot of people's eyes, they probably have nothing to lose. And there's, you're going in there, you're walking around the parade, as Bubble said, there's young lads there, 20, 21 years of age, 22 years of age, walking around. They should, it was probably 10 years ago they were hurling up against a wall, dreaming and walking around their garden, pretending to be in a parade. So it's came fairly quick for them. So in my opinion, they should embrace it. That's what I've always tried to do anyway, embrace that every chance you get, because you might not know if there's going to be another one. I've been seriously impressed with them throughout the Leinster Championship as well. Particularly with like physical teams like your Dublin and stuff. I felt like today in Salt Hill it didn't really feel like they were that bothered that Dublin had beaten them, even though I know probably internally they were not probably happy about it, but yeah, no, I've been really impressed with them.
Bubbles, Micheál Donoghue obviously led Galway to that success in 2017, a couple of years with Dublin, back now a couple of seasons. He has a real aura around the county, and obviously when you do bring home one All-Ireland, it's going to add to that. But would you say that this, if they manage to get over the line tomorrow, would be a bigger achievement than the one achieved in 2017?
Yeah, I suppose Micheál actually started his inter-county coaching career with Tip, so we've something got to do with this now as well. So he was with us in 13 and 14, and he would have worked with the forwards, and he was brilliant. He didn't have over too much to say, so I didn't really get to know him that well. But it would be a greater achievement to do this with this team, because you look back at 2017, did Joe, did David. I know Dahi Burke is still there, but he's pushing on a bit. Like they had big stars in that team. Whereas now it's kind of more so Cathal Mannion is probably the star and Conor Whelan, but after that then it's a real team. So, and all the young lads coming through, obviously they've been absolutely unreal, and youth is great. Coming in there playing inter-county senior hurling at 18, 19 years of age, I would say Killian Trayers was probably at home, so he's from the same club as Dahi Burke. He's probably poking the ball off the wall saying that he's Dahi Burke, and now he's playing an All-Ireland final with him, so they'll go in with no fear at all. The only fear is that they'd have is Limerick, and Limerick have been there and done it, but they've been massively impressive. And Micheál, to be able to manage that, the older guys and the younger guys come and to get to an All-Ireland final is obviously going to be really hard. And as we're saying in the bus, the young lads are probably going to be on the back of the bus messing and joking, having a laugh and Snapchatting each other and all this sort of crack. And the old lads are going to be up the front, maybe playing a game at 25 or something. So, but that's the good thing about it. They've been seriously impressive, as Conor said, throughout the year. And Sunday then it's to me, it's probably a shot to nothing really for the Scot, because they're so young. even though there's experience there, it's probably a shot to nothing that they can just go out and try and perform, and that's probably the best scenario that they can be in.
Seamus, this experienced full back line for Limerick, when they look at these young lads, the Rabbits and Islands that they're going to be coming up against, what will the conversations be like behind the scenes? Albeit, it's going to be a full back line that looks like doesn't have Dan Morrissey in it, and we'll get on to that in a couple of minutes' time. But what will the conversations be behind the scenes? Is it leave one in on these young lads early on and let them know you're there?
So I suppose for a Galway perspective, I suppose just to tie back on Bubba's points there, when you look at it as like it's a shot to nothing, like it's no guarantee that any of these Galway players will ever play in an All-Ireland final again. I know the preconceived idea is that they're young, they'll do it again, they'll be back here again. I suppose if you go into it as a player and you're saying to yourself, I'll be back here again, I don't need to win this one because I'm almost guaranteed to be back here because I'm 18, 19, 20. That's not the case. No one has a God-given right to be back in an All-Ireland final, and if I was a Galway player in that dressing room tomorrow, I'd be saying, this is my only chance to ever win an All-Ireland medal. I have a Leinster medal in my back pocket now. I'm going to double it up and I'm going to win an All-Ireland medal. And I think if you go into it with that mindset, it's nearly half, you're like, it doesn't really matter. If we're 5-6 points down, it doesn't really matter. Because inside that Limerick dressing room, it was never a case of we're guaranteed next year. You were never guaranteed next year because there was such competition for places. If you were back there next year, you might not have your place there. So there was no one ever resting on their laurels, and you wanted to be part of that starting 15. To your question, Lukey, in terms of the full back line, like having marked them for so many years, they're just animals inside there, like animals. You see Sean Finn and he comes in and he shakes your hand and, Shame, how are you getting on? And next thing, boom.
And he starts talking to you about what film is in the cinema during the week.
And this thing,
I swear to God, he done that to me one day. I went in.
You told him as well.
He goes, did you see the new Batman film that was out during the week? He goes, I was like, what the fuck is this lad on about?
and I've seen him before.
The head was gone.
Bubba's caught off guard.
I was taken off at half time.
But that's what he does. Like, I remember before I'm inside training and the ball's thrown in and Sean, is that a new hurley, Shemmy? I'm like, yeah, where'd you get it? Oh, I got it over there, Tarpey over. What size is that? 34. Yeah, it's a lovely hurley. Next thing the ball comes in, the hurley's behind you and Sean is out winning the first ball and it's gone. So that's their mentality, and it's funny because I used to always compare them to, like that Italian defence where you had Chiellini and Bonucci and those boys that loved defending. These 6 Limerick backs, bar Burnsy, love defending. They love defending, and it's like they get more of a buzz nearly off of Sean Finn coming out intercepting, or like coming in and he'll probably pick up his 37 or 34 or 33 inch hurley tomorrow and say, it's the 37 today, and he'll get so much joy out of a block or a hook, and you'll see them celebrate that. So that's the type of calibre that they're coming up against. Now, they've done it before in the league and they've got their measure of the lads and they would have played against them. But it's the exposure over that period of time over and over again that will stand to the boys. So, but it's a different ball game. It's a different ball game when you're marking those boys.
David, I don't think anyone would have expected, well, maybe outside of Galway, to do a job on Cork and to do such a job on Cork as well. That second half, it was men v boys. We'll talk about how impressive Galway were, but on the other hand, Cork, there seems to be serious issues there, especially in second halves at Croke Park. There's some sort of mental block.
Yeah, I suppose the Cork thing is just well talked about now since last Sunday week, and I think Galway were really good. I think it's down to Mahon and the backroom team. They had their homework done. They knew where Cork were strong, and in fairness, Brian Hayes got his couple of points off Dahi, but I think Mahon made these few tactical tweaks before half time, got us back in the game, and at half time made a few little switches as well, pushing Cahill back up the field. Cork were probably at 6s and 7s, and then when they went long, I suppose with us, when the tactics were playing and getting bodies back to field, I just felt like Tip in the final last year. Their backs were outstanding in the second half, and it just felt like that the last day again. The Galway backs just seemed to get it better of all their men in a man-to-man battle, like breaking the ball on the ground, the backs win it and they come out with it, and that was just repetitive, and that just felt like the second half last year. And I don't know, is that just have Cork not a dog type player? Like, I'm not saying but Hegarty is that type of player. You look out the field, you poke it down. Conor Whelan is a similar type player that we would have went to say poke it down him. If he doesn't win it, he'll break it, he'll win it on the ground. And we have Rabbit now as well that will come out. So where there was Cork failings, but I still think it was down to the little tactical change that Meal would have made as well. Plus Galway's just appetite, their hunger for the ball and the break on the ground when it broke. And at the same time, when you're looking to Limerick game, they're not going to get that same level of joy because Limerick are so good at that as well. They're half-backline and strong, and they love breaking ball. As he's pointed out, they love that kind of stuff. Numbers and that is what drives them on. Like, if they come in half-time, they'll probably then, this is the numbers in breaking ball, you're getting bet, lads. What are you doing? Like, that'll drive Keane Lynch and Adam English on. So they're the little things that I'm looking out for the next day, tomorrow. And like Gavin Lee and Tiernan Killeen had a massive game on Tim Manny and Tommy O'Connell. Like they had a good year. Yes, they were injured, but the game that the two boys had for Galway went a little bit unnoticed because they got on some amount of ball. So they're little things that if we can do again, we'll get joy out of. Do you know what I mean?
We're going to move on to Limerick here now. Seamus, last year, well, I suppose it's 2 years now without All-Ireland glory, and after winning 5 in 6 years, people would have thought that was unimaginable. But the manner of exiting the All-Ireland last year, a quarter-final defeat to 14-man Dublin, it must have been a long winter for those lads to almost right the wrongs of what happened.
Yeah, and I suppose, first of all, like, Dublin were full value for that win. Like, to go down to 14 men and to say that it was Dublin's day, 100%. And Dublin were by far and above the better team. Chris Crummy, when he got sent off, everyone just went to another level. And it's probably rare that you see that from a team to go down to 15 and to be such raging underdogs going into it as well. But they were like John Herriton, Keane O'Sullivan side, they were full value. Thinking back to a Limerick perspective, yeah, it's not where you want to be. Like, as in, you know, it's no secret that, you know, there's a plan there, and every team will be the same, that you plan up as far as an All-Ireland final. And to get knocked out 2 games prior to that, definitely was a shock. And yeah, I suppose it'd be easier if we were standing here and say that, look, that Limerick team went away. You'd say, do you know what, they'd won enough, and you know, they could be satisfied with what they've won. But I think it's testament to management, number one, but to that player group, for them to turn around and to, like, you look down at that team and it's 90% the same team that was there for those 5 as well. For them to come around and show the hunger that they have, and I think the last 2 games have been testament to that and statement in that as well, because you're down the line against Cork, a team that are probably think that they've won over you after the result down in Cork previously in the round robin, and to grind that out. But even more so that Clare game in the semi-final, what they brought in that second half, and to hold Clare to 1-3, 1 from a penalty and 3 frees, to not let them score from playing that second half, and to do what they did. Some people will say it was a robbery, but that was just grinding a team down and taking the opportunity. So, you know, the hunger is definitely there, and you get to an All-Ireland final and it's anyone's given day. Things can happen, all of that. But this Limerick team just know how to win as well. They know how to win when they get to there. They don't tend to lose them as well. So it's going to be a big battle for Galway. But I'd fully fancy Limerick as well tomorrow.
Probably the big talking point is, from a Limerick standpoint now around selection, is Dan Morrissey and Dara Donovan looking like they're going to be starting from the bench. Mac, does something like that surprise you, especially when you look at big game players? They're more than often 2 that stand up for Limerick.
Yeah, well, I suppose for them, they're season campaigners in those teams that have won so much. So obviously, it's going to be a little bit more of a talking point than if it was on the Galway team, for example. But look, there's obviously reasons for that. It's based on previous games and the whole lot. And just to touch on Seamus' point as well, probably the last 2 years, I would say when Limerick were absolutely flying the last few years, and the other team get a purple patch, you're nearly looking at the score the whole time, because you're wondering, how are they not further ahead? So if Clare go ahead, how are they not further ahead because Limerick are there? And I feel like they're back to that. I hope that makes sense. I watched the semi-final and I felt like Clare were flying, but they're still 2 points ahead only. Do you know? And then Limerick start grinding in the second half. So that's where I think they're back to. And I think if, you know, a lot of people say it's a bold choice, and you know, to leave out 2 really experienced players, but there's obviously reasons behind that. I think, you know, when they're in that flow and they're moving like that, I can guarantee if Dara Donovan comes on after 40 minutes tomorrow, the midfield are going to know about it. And he will be getting on ball left, right and centre. So as I say, there's reasons behind it. It's obviously a bold call. I'm sure the lads are seriously disappointed, but is what it is. I know I'd be raging, I'll tell you that.
But it's not as if they're being replaced by two new players. Like
No.
they're being replaced by Mike Casey and Keane Lynch.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the benefit that Limerick have. But like Darragh O'Donovan, I think isn't in there because Galway plays so defensively, and Darragh O'Donovan's a defensive-minded midfielder. I think just like he's there and Adam English runs amok. I don't think they'll need that defensive midfielder tomorrow because Galway plays so deep, and they're already going to be back there. So that's why I think that Darragh O'Donovan is out. And
Two boys are really good ball players as well.
yeah.
Like, you know, through the lines.
Like Keane Lynch is our captain. He's best player, one of the best hurlers of all time. Like he's not going to be left out. And who comes out for him? And to me, it probably would have been Darragh over Adam English.
David, how do you deal with that though as well, especially such experienced players? What would camps be like? Have you been involved with teams as well where big names are left out on big days? What's the mood like? Because everyone does have to be together for it, but you can't hide your emotions sometimes.
No, you can't. And I remember going back I remember Pádraig Walsh left out of the Kilkenny team before. He was hugely disappointed. Trying to back to our time, there's definitely players that thought they were going to be in the mix and maybe left out. But like going back to the lads, like you're in to do a job. I suppose that comes back to the management, like Mihal or John Kiley, talking to these players, communicating with them. Maybe they knew after the semi-final that there was going to be tweaks. They get chatting them early last week and say, look, we might go with something different, but you have a big role to play. Like who's to say Mike Casey could get a yellow card after 5 minutes on Jason and they have to bring in Dan Morrissey. That could be the case. So they still have a huge role to play. You need to be seriously tuned in if you're in that category of a sub coming on. And sometimes you can get caught up. I know as a sub, you can get caught up as a supporter. You're shouting at the ref, linesman, and you need to be really watching what's going on. Puck outs wise, who's on top as a player in that position, who's not on top, and who can you exploit. So like, as the boy like Darragh and Dan Morrissey, they'll definitely see game time, I'd say. And the flip on that, we have a couple as there, Conor Cooney as well, who's been really good coming in. So it's down to the management, just having that word or that conversation with them and telling them. You know, you referenced like Jim Gavin before with McMenamin for Dublin. He used to call him, like, I don't know, you have a name for an assassin or something, or the matador. He used to call him for the lad in the arena, the bullfighting, and he said you're in to finish the job and stuff like that. So I remember that conversation before, and if you've lads like that in a game like this where it could be tight and they're willing to come in and do that job for the team, that's what it's about. That's what winning All-Ireland title is about, when you have players that come in to do that. And in 17 we had Jason Flynn, Niall Burke, who were hugely disappointed that they weren't starting, going really well, but they come in, they contribute 4 points in the making of that, and we win by 4 points. So it just shows you it's on small margins. Players like that, they need to realise that they have a huge contribution to make to that team.
Seamus, the semi-final, we brought it up, the win over Clare, coming from 6 down with 13 minutes to go. But was Nicky Quaid lucky not to see red on that Peter Duggan?
This has been streamed as well, Seamus.
Live.
Straight off the bat, I was like, yeah. I suppose when you're down the sideline, you're down pitch side, you just see for what it is. And I was like, geez, that was horrendous. But then when you're looking back at the rules, and you know, we had a conversation with John Keenan there during the week, and he was talking about how much scrutiny referees are under and how much pressure is on referees, and how they have assessors in the stand. And I didn't actually realise they have mentors as well, that they work with ex-referees that will coach them through coming game week and post game week on their performance, as well as that assessor. And I was saying to myself, I was like, this is banana. So Tomas Walsh went into his umpires and all that. Neil McManus told me that the rule is you have to be in possession of that ball. But in soccer, if you knock a ball around the keeper and the keeper trips you, you're technically in possession of that ball. But the rule is so vague then as well. I don't know. I would presume, yes, he was extremely lucky not to get black. And that, in a sense, really was probably the changing of the game. If you have to take someone off and replace him with Colin Ryan, who's a sub-keeper, that definitely changes the game. Definitely changes the game.
Mac, this Limerick team over the last 8 or 9 years is arguably the best ever, alongside the likes of Brian Cody's Kilkenny. But I think you probably saw them coming a little bit further back than everyone else. If my facts are correct, in the 2015 Under-21 All-Ireland hurling final, you lost by 16 points to a Limerick team with the likes of Keane Lynch, Tom Morrissey, Barry Nash, Gerard Hegarty, Richie English, Sean Finn, Dermot Burns, Mike Casey, Peter Casey. But despite the loss, you got 1-4 that day.
Yeah. It was under freeze. We were talking about there during the week. we were trying to figure out whether you were on the panel or not. But yeah, unbelievable. Sure, when you look back on it, like just incredible to see so many players, I suppose, with senior All-Ireland medals and still knocking around. They were just absolutely phenomenal. I remember just, you know, it was MV boys in that final. Really, it was what, 24 points, did you say?
Yeah.
Just absolutely MV boys. They were 2-3 years later winning in 18. So in some ways we kind of saying we were the second best team for a number of years, and actually we got beaten in the All-Ireland final the year before in the under 21 as well by a 3 in a row Clare team with Tony Kelly, Paul Galvin, who just won an All-Ireland senior. Or sorry, Paul Galvin, Colin Galvin, sorry. Wouldn't be like him. But yeah, they were special times until the finals in those 2 years. But that Limerick team, I remember that was kind of the start of a wave really of what was to come, I think. I remember probably 6-7 minutes before the final whistle was blown, and I could just see the whole stand just literally on the sideline. I was like, fuck me, what is going on here? Like literally green, couldn't even see our own management. I'd say our subs were already in the dressing room. It was just, I was chaotic. But yeah, once the crowd kind of got behind that team and could see what was going on as well, yeah, it was just mental really.
David, what do Galway have to do tomorrow to stop Limerick from lifting another Lee McCarthy?
It's hard to put your finger on. I suppose I spoke before and there. Our goalie is going to be key tomorrow, Derek Fahey. He's been really good all year, made a couple of good saves against Cork. But puck-outs wise, if I was a goalie tomorrow looking down on there, like, yes, we can go short and we're good at working up the field, but you have to go long as well. That's just the nature of hurling. You have to, it's to and fro. But you're looking down the field at Jim Burns, Will O'Donoghue, Kyle Hayes. It's a matter of trying to cat and mouse with them a little bit, pull them here and there if you can, but they like sitting. So from a puck-out perspective, this is going to be huge for us. If we're going to have a chance, we're going to have to pull and drag them a little bit, win our fair share of breaking ball in that middle third, and see can we set up a couple of scores and score from distance. Limerick are going to push us out far, spread us wide. Our shooting boots need to be on tomorrow if we're going to have a chance. And albeit then the battle with Rabbit and Casey is going to be so huge, I think. So for one lad down the other end for Darroch, and then that middle third there, and then Jason, Mike, like everyone's just so intrigued with this because Kylie has left off Dan Morrissey. What's going to happen here? You're just going to see, obviously Mike is so cute, he's been around a long time. You can see a lot of ball falling in behind Nicky Quaid, or maybe a lot of pulling and dragging on Mike Casey's behalf. But no, look, it's going to be such an intriguing battle. We need a lot of our players to play well, like Conor Wheel and Cathal Mannion. I think when they play well, the younger guys will step up to that as well. So, like, I described Conor Whelan's work rate in the Leinster final was really good. Yes, he was on Sean O'Donoghue the last day, mightn't have had his best game, but still was kind of leading the team. Those two guys are going to have big games for us if we're going to have a chance. And if they do, we will be in there with a chance coming down the home stretch. We're not going to blow them away, but I think if we're in the mix with a couple of minutes to go, we will have a good chance of getting over the line.
Seamus, on the other side, if you were heading out tomorrow, number 14 on your back, is there areas in that Galway team that you think you could hurt?
I suppose it's funny because I thought, thinking back to the Clare game, I thought Clare set up so well to counteract everything that Limerick threw at them. You know, when John sat off, it nullified the ball going inside, and I think Cleary nullified Hego. And I thought that was a massive statement for them. Obviously missing Keane, you saw the influence that he had when he came back on. So I thought that setup will probably feed into what Micheál Donoghue will look at maybe at the weekend in terms of where he deploys Cathal Mannion from, whether he sits him back on the top of the D as deep as he did against Cork, maybe not, but in terms of having him back there. I suppose if I was going out tomorrow, is there areas I can get at? Yeah, look, there's definitely some aspects of the game, but like Limerick are going to have to be on top form, and like if we're being honest, they probably haven't been Munster final and semi-final. You know, they've been probably two under performances from Limerick, but also extraordinary performances from Cork and Clare. And like they're such a I listened back to Tom Mann afterwards, and the unity that they have within the group as well. I was listening to that. I was listening to Killian Trayers, and I was listening to Conor Wheel and the two Mannion brothers, and how just the unity, and I think that the youth that they've brought in it's funny when like the older players, how when you can mix that, sometimes it's hard to mix that youth and the younger generation and the older. But sometimes when the youth comes in and they have no expectation on their shoulders, and then the older lads there, it gives a new lease of life. And I was listening to Micheál Dunn who speak about that during the week. So it's a big ask for Limerick, and I know people are, Limerick are going in as favourites and things like that, but it's a big ask. It's a big ask for this Limerick team to turn up once again and a really well-oiled machine in this Galway team that have come through, won Leinster, won a comprehensive semi-final, and to go and do it again and for Limerick to pull one more out of the fire, it's a big ask as well.
Before we came on here, we were having a bit of food. You said to me it's 50-50 tomorrow, so we're going to go down the line. Who's winning tomorrow and margin of victory?
I think Limerick by the bare minimum. The bare minimum, and I'll take it, but I do think it's going to be that tight. I really do.
David?
Well, look, I'm going to stick with my own county anyway, that's for sure. I don't know what the McDonald has green pants on, so he must have gone for Limerick early. I don't know what Bubbles is going to do. Maybe he'll stick with Galway, you never know. There's a love-hate relationship with Tip and Galway, but I know, look, it's the start I've referenced is key. I think if we can stay with them, like Limerick, I go back to that performance in the first round game against Cork and Páirc Uí Chaoimh. They blew Cork away. If they were to do that to this Galway team, that could be difficult for us to come back from. Like, we're not as experienced as that Cork team, even though we bet them the last day. So I think staying in the game is key. Bring them down the home stretch, get a few fresh legs on, maybe Galway by 2 or 3 points.
Bubbles, what you saying?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think if Galway have a chance, they have to be leading at half-time. The way that they set up doesn't allow Galway to chase a game because they're, I suppose, so defensively minded. But in fairness to Micheál, at half-time the last day, he did make a few switches and he pushed back up the field. So there is that tactical bit that they can do. But I just think it's going to be Limerick. Like, I know Seamus is from Limerick, he's obviously going to play it down, but like this is an unbelievable team. I know there's a couple of changes here and there. They've 4 lads that haven't started an All-Ireland final, but they've probably been their 4 best players so far this year, in Adam English, Aidan O'Connor, Cathal O'Neill and Shane O'Brien. Do you know? So like they're young lads. Everyone's talking about the Galway young lads, which is only right because they have been so good. But there's not as much talk about the Limerick young lads because they're built in around such an experienced team. So I think Limerick will win, and they'll win by 5 or 6.
Mark?
Like the draw.
No goals.
Get off the fence.
Goals could be a goal.
No, I think, sure, look at the Bubbles hit the nail on the head there, I think. Particularly just with the last 2 years, I'd say, as well, just with kind of silverware in Croke Park. I think definitely there's a bite seriously back in Limerick. Personally, I'd love to see Galway win it. I think if they start well and really they need goals, I think, which is not easy to do against any Limerick side over the last number of years. But yeah, I want Galway to win. Sorry for everyone that's from Limerick here, but yeah, if I was a fan going in, I'd love to see Galway win, just because of that youth and what they've brought to the championship, and they're playing the Leinster Championship as well, and Bubbles is always getting on to me about that. But no, I do think I would like to see Galway win, but I think Limerick will.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, 15 minutes. Go ahead, refill your glasses there. Mick Conlon thankfully donated quite a few bottles of Le Gras to us here tonight, so make sure to go up, grab another bottle on him as well. We'll be back in 15 minutes time. We're going to take a bit of a trip down memory lane. We're going to do a bit of a quiz with the lads as well, put them to the test. We love a quiz here on Beyond the 65, and then we're going to open it up to the floor, bit of a Q&A. But yeah, see you in 15 minutes. Memory lane, look back at some of the battles that the lads have had together. Manning All-Ireland semi-final, they shared the pitch in Croke Park, and All-Ireland finals. But David, I suppose we're going to bring it back to 2017 when you captained Galway to an All-Ireland title. Is it still the proudest day of your career?
I would definitely be up there, yeah. As any young lad, you'd see them around the county during the week. Galway actually put together a lovely clip. They kind of introduced all the players in the video, and they, let's say on the pitch, they had a young lad, let's say if it was Darren Morrissey in a white Sarsfields jersey, poking the ball against the wall, and they'd introduce Darren Morrissey. It was a lovely clip. But like that, as a young lad, you want to play for your county, represent your county, and win, obviously, in Croke Park is the ultimate. So when you go up there and representing your club, proud day it was, and then you bring the Liam Carty back to your club on the Tuesday night. It was special memories. They live long in the memory. And the boys in Luton as well, they're unbelievable times. Probably you cherish them more now looking back. Kind of this week, I suppose, when Galway are back in the final, so hard to get there. As he said, it's so hard to get back there. Like, teams are so good now. Semi-finals are hard to win. And this week, I suppose, kind of looking back, and my own family kind of talking about 17 and the build up to that. So you cherish those memories and what it meant to everyone to come to that time. We waited 29 long years, and hopefully you won't wait that long again. Maybe just a small amount of years tomorrow, hopefully.
Mac, you came up against that side in the Leinster final that year. They pipped you to that. What's your memories of that team? Where was the biggest strengths? Talk to me a bit about that Leinster final day.
So I'd say those probably 17, 18, 19 were kind of tight enough games that we would have played. We think we drew in 19 up in Salt Hill, but the one thing about that team, they were so well structured at the back. I felt obviously playing inside, no one was playing inside with Davy at that time, so it was all a big running game, but they were so well structured and stuck to their guns, and communication there. I always felt like Pádraig Mannion, yourself and Joe were always so in tune for the spine of the team. And yeah, just I felt like when in that final in particular, in that Leinster final, I think it was nearly 10 or 11 points for a finish, but they brought on guys that were just running. They were able to change up their game. Conor Cooney, who again, as you mentioned earlier on, he got 7 from play that day. Our cornerback definitely will never forget that day anyway. But in fairness, like, for a guy like that to be able to come on tomorrow with experience, seen him the last day, got his goal, seriously gifted hurler, knows where to be, good forward. But yeah, they just had strengths absolutely everywhere, all stars kind of everywhere, and were really well set up. And the communication was a big thing I found, particularly in Salt Hill. I remember we drew in 19 up in Salt Hill, but you'd David Burke there, you'd Pádraig Mannion, you'd the lad here, you'd Joe filtering back all the time. The communication was always just, everyone knew where to be. It was just probably the most well set up team from the back up, and they just knew how to use the ball really well. But yeah, definitely a day to forget for me is that 17 final.
Bubbles 17 as well. Tipper obviously aiming to go back to back after winning the All-Ireland 2016. We'll get on to that in a bit, but that wasn't your first experience with David either. Let's bring it back to 2010. I think you might have faced him in an under 21 All-Ireland final with.
Do you remember that one? I didn't mention, he brought this up. No, not me.
We had someone to wides in the first half. We'll go back to that.
I don't think he did.
This is a Tip All-Ireland celebration. We were just joining the party of a Saturday night. All week we were trying to get the game in Limerick, and sure, no, we couldn't get it. Thurlet's big party. They were going to the beer after, sure.
It didn't matter how many wides you had. We had 4 goals scored in the first 4 minutes.
Boogie O'Mara was unreal, in fairness. But we had someone to wides. We should have been in that game at half time, I thought, didn't I?
Bubbles, who was on that Tip team? Star-studded though, wasn't it?
Yeah, so like they won the senior the week before, and I think there was 9 on the panel, and 5, 6 started. So you'd Brendan, Paddy, Noel, Bonner, James Barrett. No, he wasn't there. I think there was 9 altogether. Then you had Boogie O'Mara. I don't think he made the panel for the senior, and then he was bull tick, and that's just what you could say now. I think he done a bet for the first goal scorer. A high ball in, caught it and just stuck a top corner, and the second one came in, then caught it and passed it out to me, and it was a goal. Then like he was bullying that he wasn't part of the match day panel the week before, and like the 21 that they were told like they can go out on Sunday night and Monday after the All-Ireland. After Boogie went out until Thursday. And he wasn't even on the match day panel. Like. In fairness to the rest of the boys, we trained on Tuesday night and they were all there, except for Boogie. But yeah, that was the first memory playing against Galway.
The half backline strikes, it was Paddy at 6, was it? Brendan at 7 and James Barry at 5. And similar to Limerick, you're looking at this half backline, and I was actually centre back that day on the other side, and we were on about puck outs, and we're like, Jesus, we can't puck it down any of them lads, like three massive men, and similar to Limerick. But geez, yeah, that day I never didn't think you'd bring it up here now. But, oh
Luke brought it up, not me.
Look, we we won on 21 the year after, but geez, Tip were awesome that time, in fairness. I suppose we thought Tip were going to take over, but it took them a couple of years into another one in 16. But
it did, and that was probably down to them. Like in 14, we played G in Thurles, wasn't it? And we in the qualifier, and we won. But in 15, 16, 17, and 18, like what was it? 2 points, I think, was the biggest margin between us in a couple of games. So, like we could potentially have 2 more All Irelands if it wasn't for that
like
Galway team.
In 14, when you went to that, we actually in Thurles, Johnny Glynn got 2 goals on Paddy, and I think he went 7 or 8 down. And whatever switch he made, Shamey went to town. He opened us up at the back, and we like obviously momentum then is huge in games. Like Tip last year or Clare the year before, when you get a run in games, you can go on this run. And I remember that 14 year, right? You had a serious run, but Kilkenny stopped you in the replay then after that. We won't talk about the free. We're going to bring it up anyway, right?
I think we should.
We'll bring it back to 2010. We'll go back to 2010. Forget about 2014. But in 15 then we'd a massive, like 17 probably stands out because of the Joe score, like on the sideline. But like 15, 16, like 16 was a massive game as well. Massive game, yeah. But like it stands out, the 17 one stands out because Joe got a magic score out on the sideline, and I caught
Paddy's hook. Paddy's hook and Conor Cooney in 16.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But in 17, Joe scored and I caught the next puck out and I drove it wide.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you not get hooked? No. I know. No, like we were league matches as well. I remember that league. I said that this year, the league game in Stadium. Remember that in 16 as well. We were relegated because you got that point level of the game out on the sideline.
Yeah, I remember that.
Fucking fuming that day. Like we last 2 games we Tip and Cork, and we had to get a result and won them. And I think it was Cork beat us, and then we drew a Tip, but we were a point up last minute. Balls on the sideline, Bubbles gets it over the bar, draw game, and we get now. Like in the league, there was a big gap that time between league and championship. But if you did that this time, momentum is key, and spoke about that. But geez, there was huge battles there in 15, 16, 17, massive.
That 2017 semi-final though, when you get one over the All-Ireland champions in the semi-final, you go on to beat Waterford in the final then as well. Did that semi-final really feel like this is our year?
It's still not job done. I think we talk about the minutes after the game. I remember one of the backroom team coming out to me and he just goes to this, there's still one more. So straight away can't celebrate anymore now, we have to tune in. There's a final to come, but we played Tip in the league final that year and won it fairly well. And I'd be good buddies with Johnny Cohen, teach him in school, and he said, he just went up to Paddy, shook hands, Paddy Maher, and he said, we'll see you later on the year. And like a Brian Cody, Shefflin handshake, Paddy grabs him, Johnny, we will see you later on the year. And Johnny was telling me this, and I just knew Tip were going to come, and it was a massive game that day, but took that point from Joe to separate teams. There was nothing in it. Like defensively, I felt when we played Tip, we have to keep it tight against them because they have shooters everywhere, from 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, all the way up the field. So you really have to be on your game defensively against the likes of Tip. So got that right, and obviously got the few scores that we did get that day. But I think it just set us up lovely going into the final. Like Waterford, yes, were a brilliant team as well, but the fact that Joe got that score, and there was emotion around obviously Tony Keeley passing away in the county, and just felt like the time is now, and I think the players bought into that and really said, look, it's now or never, and it's like you're going to win one sometime, why not now?
Seamus, after Galway stopped Tip going back to back, you then brought an end to Galway's dreams of going back to back. The following year in 2018, your first All-Ireland win. Memories of it?
Yeah, I suppose it was my first year on the panel. So I remember we actually, it's funny enough, like, you know the way you talk about the league now and you talk about, I suppose people go on about the lack of importance about the league. Remember we played you above in Salt Hill, and I remember we were more riled up for that game than we were for the All-Ireland final, because we put such an onus on that going into the All-Ireland champions' backyard, playing them below there. And we had set out at the start of 2018, it was like, I remember John referenced it as a journey. We're going on this journey, and similar to what David said, you're either on the train or you're off the train. And I remember we went down to Salt Hill and we overturned them below, and I remember that was the start of the year. That's the belief came from there, because I suppose we were such a young team, seeing Galway do it last year, and I think that he had come back and it was nearly Galway were saying that we're going to go back to back, like that was their aim, which is every team's aim, I suppose, at the start of the season. But remember, that was the kickstart to that, and then all throughout it, I think we finished third. out of Munster. So I think we went up to Carlow, and we played Carlow above in Carlow. I'll never forget it. There was a ridiculously warm summer that summer.
That has a feeling of like Stoke on a wet Tuesday night.
Except it was about 25 degrees above in Carlow. And I remember the pitch, there was no water, and there was a water ban hose, or there was a water ban hose. So I remember there was a big brown mark in the middle of Carlow's pitch. But I remember we beat them above there, and we went down and we played Kilkenny in the quarter-final. And then we played Cork in that semi-final. But like every game that we played in that season it was just, I remember it was just such a joy to play in. I suppose for me personally, and I think a lot of players are the same, it's just, you know that novelty when you're so young and you're playing a game of hurling and you're playing it because you love it and you play, there's no baggage, there was no expectation whatsoever on our shoulders, which is completely the flip side of the team coming into the game tomorrow. But it's just, I suppose it was a joy to be part of. It was a joy to play in. It was just so enjoyable. And then going into that final, I suppose we felt ourselves, and I times had definitely changed. But we'd beaten them before, and we were saying this is going to be nip and tuck. But I think he had gone through an awful tough season as well in terms of every game he played was nip and tuck. And I felt ourselves, we were going in there, and there was just no expectation on our shoulders. It was all on Galway because we were reigning champions coming in. So it was just a sense of absolute joy. And I remember that week leading into the game, I remember saying to myself, it was Tommy Walsh, I think, was talking, and he spoke about how his first All-Ireland final. Because I was coming into it and I was saying to myself, geez, I've never played here before, and played in Croke Park in the semi-final, but All-Ireland finals are different, they're different animals. I remember saying to myself, I was listening to Tommy Walsh on Off the Ball, and he said that his first All-Ireland final, he remembers putting on his socks, he remembers putting on his boots, he remembers blinking, leaving the dressing room, blinking again, being in at half time, and he hadn't hurled the ball. And I remember saying to myself, I was like, okay, just get yourself into the game. Just do something. I remember the first ball came in, and I think I was on John Hanbury, and he won the ball in front of me, and he ran down the Cusick stand, and I hooked him, and the ball went out over the sideline, and I was like, okay, I'm in the game. So I remember Caroline used to be big on that moments of the game. You win a moment of the game. And I'd lost that first moment, but I won that second moment, and now you're into the game. And I remember just that sigh of relief, jogged back in alongside Aaron, and Aaron said, you're in the game. And I was like, okay, we're in the game now. And it was that. But it was just, and then I remember Joe obviously gets that free and heart and mouth job, and you're saying to yourself, I remember just wishing away the last 15 minutes of that game just to get us over the line. But just all in all, that season as a whole was just such an enjoyable thing to be part of. Definitely, yeah, and that's exactly what I'd say. It's just a really, really enjoyable team and occasion to be part of.
You referenced it there. You obviously went from having no pressure when you're going out playing, not many people expecting much of Limerick, considering the likes of Galway and Tip and Kilkenny dominating, to then a couple of years later, it must be like every other team's final when they come up against you. Did you have any tough experiences with that, like when lads were coming out to mark you that, you know, this was their big game of the season?
No, because I suppose that's where Caroline was brilliant then. So your mindset coming into the 2018 final was one kind of aspect and was situated one way. But then you'd have to change your mindset, because now you're no longer the you're no longer the hunter, you're the hunted. And that mindset has to change, that every team you play, no matter whether it be league, similar to what we were in 2018 when we went down to play Galway in a league game, and Galway were saying, okay, this is just another league game, let's get through this and get the championship. We were looking at that game as that was our All-Ireland final. That if we beat them, that was our key. So every team playing us for the next couple of years, that was their All-Ireland final. And we knew that then as well. So that was just that switch in mindset to say, okay, you're no longer chasing, you're now getting chased. And it's about changing your mindset and how do you adapt to that then as well. And yeah, that brings its own kind of torment and its own difficulties then as well, because, you know, different teams will throw different things at you. I suppose the one thing that I always tie back to the success and the period of success that we had was there was just a competition for places. You could never turn around and say, the number 14 jersey is mine, because I always had Peter Casey hounding at my back, Shane O'Brien in later years. I always had someone that was on a beating, that was scoring 3 and 4 points, and you were saying to yourself, okay, haven't shifted it today, have to do it the next day. And there was periods in time in that, and John has done it. He's done it for the weekend. He's dropped Dan and he's dropped Mike. Mike's after getting his place after coming on for 10 minutes in a semi-final, because he played so well in that semi-final and obviously carried that through the training. And there was times there you feature on a B team, and I remember coming into the All-Ireland final in 2018, And I remember I didn't have a great game against Cork, and I remember Shane Dowling came on in extra time, and I think he scored 1-2 or 1-3. And I remember going into training during the week, and Shane was on the A team, and I was on the B team. And you have Tuesday, you like that week, the first week is kind of coming down from the semi-final, and the second week then is getting back up. And I remember Shane was on the A team coming into Tuesday, and I was on the B team, and I was actually marking Mike Casey. And I remember I just went in, I had that bit between my teeth, and I said, okay, I'm gonna win this back. I remember I popped maybe 1-2, 1-3 off of Mike, and got that Thursday came back in, and Seamus were back in number 14. So that was my mindset going into that game, because you were just being chased all the time. And when you have that competition for places, that drives the internal, I suppose, enjoyment, but that internal drive, and then that feeds into, I suppose, collective when you go into game day.
Mac, are we going to look back at this Limerick team as the greatest of all time? I know we've had the conversation about Cody's Kilkenny or this Limerick team, but do you think in 10 years' time we are going to turn around, especially if they do get another All-Ireland or two over the next couple of years, that this is the greatest team we've ever seen?
Yeah, well, I think we've spoke about it before. It's hard to say that now when they're still here and now. Like if they win tomorrow and we look back in 3, 4, 5 years' time when a lot of lads have passed on, like, you know, if we're already talking about them now before that does happen, you know, it's fairly obvious that they are up there. I just think with the way the game of hurling is now, physically, just the way they've been able to adapt, they've attributes. You know, they're not a one-trick pony. They can play the ball long. They can play it through the lines. They can do absolutely everything. And I just think the way the game has gone, and the demands of it all, and the speed of which they play, and how they can match anybody, while sticking to their own, you know, their plan. They're back sticking to their own thing. They're not man marking as such. I just think when we do look back, whenever that opportunity comes, absolutely, I think they're definitely up there. And I know Kilkenny lads won't be too happy with us saying that, but
There's Robbie.
There's Robbie, yeah. He's chomping at the bit there in the back. But no, absolutely, hands down. It's just obviously a little bit harder now. You know, all those Kilkenny lads are finished and done, and you can talk about them, whereas we're actually still talking about this team in the here and now and into the future and into tomorrow. So,
David, who do you think the best team of all time is?
Oh, sure, Limerick have to be right up there. Like, I grew up watching that Kilkenny team, and it's funny, in the 90s I was only a young lad, and you'd be watching like Wexford win All-Ireland, Clare. It's funny, when we play Wexford in the house, it wasn't any disrespect. I'd get up in the morning and I'd put on the Dance Dance Crossroads song, and the boys would say, "Will you fucking turn that off?" I was like, just want to get me in the mood to play these, because I grew up watching that team in the 90s. That inspired me. And then you come along, Kilkenny do that in the noughties. That's what them teams do, they inspire a generation. But for me, this Limerick team are definitely, from what I've seen and what the amount of games they played, like Kilkenny used to walk through Leinster that time, play 2 games, they're in a semi-final, have 5 weeks, get the injuries right. Like Shefflin played an All-Ireland final after trying to recover from a cruciate. Like that would not be done now. Like that's crazy talk. But like the consistency they show year in, year out. I know that they haven't been successful the last 2 years, but what they did in 18, and from my perspective, when I was in 17 we won, I thought we might do something for a year or two, and we didn't. We didn't get out of the group in 19, and then Limerick dominate for a couple of years and look like no one's able to touch them, which is frightening. And maybe they've come back a little bit, and other teams have caught up to them. But yeah, for me, they've been up there as the benchmark, and have really brought the standard of the other teams to say, look, this is what they're doing. We have to start doing more, and that's what they've done.
Bubbles, instead of asking you who you think's better between Cody's Kilkenny and this current Limerick team, who would you rather play for? In terms of style of play, if you could bring that to Tip.
None of them. I'm from Tip. Yeah, see, it's hard to know. Like, as David said, like, Kilkenny probably won their All-Ireland's a bit easier than what Limerick did, because Limerick have to play more games. And the style of hurling is completely different now. Like, I hurled against them Kilkenny teams, I suppose it was probably changing around 14 as well, 13, 14. But Limerick are after bringing everything to another level. And like, I know Cork, I know Galway beat them, but Cork are up there at that level as well, but they just can't get over the line in a big game. Who would you prefer to play for? I'm probably too small to play for Kilkenny. All Kilkenny's forwards were 6'1", 6'2". Richie was midfield. Richie might have only been 5'2", but he can still catch the ball. And the Limerick team then, like, I suppose I said it before, like, the only lad that I can kind of stylistically compare myself to would probably be Peter Casey in a kind of similar kind of role. So for that reason, I'd probably say Limerick, because it would probably match up for my skill set more so than what I would playing for that Kilkenny team. Yeah, that's a hard question because it's a different era, it's a different time. You know, like Kilkenny won all them All-Irelands, but it was win your own position. Like it was traditionally 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, whereas now you see Gerard Hegarty and Colin O'Neill covering 12, 13, 14k a game, and then you've the two boys inside and Peter kind of roaming. Like it's completely different. So, but for me to match it up, I would probably say Limerick would suit me better, just to go in and tip around like Peter Casey, I suppose.
Seamus, you referenced the AVB games. The lads always trying to take that 14 jersey off you. On the other side of things, John Kiley has a lot of tough conversations to have with people as well. How does he approach that? How does he keep everybody happy with that? Because if you look at the strength and depth in this team, it's phenomenal. So how does he manage all of those personalities, the top hurlers?
Yeah, and like David said it, I think it was David or Bob that said it at the start about, like, you know, having those conversations. A lot of the time those conversations don't actually happen. Like I remember in 2020, I had actually lost my place to Peter Casey. Peter Casey came in and played. It was during the COVID kind of season, and I had actually lost my place to Peter. Peter played, I think we played a Munster final against Clare, and we played Waterford below in Thurles as well. A lot of them were on Thurles, and we had won the Munster final, and we were playing Galway in the All-Ireland semi-final under lights in the month of November, December. And I remember we were around the huddle, and the training was kind of, you couldn't do as much training as you'd normally do, so we might have maybe one AVB. And I was tipping along grand fine, and I remember we were all in the huddle, and John was calling out the team, and he was going along, and I was kind of looking up, and Steve, our caterer, was coming in, and he was walking along, and I was kind of saying to myself, oh, geez, I wonder, is it curry now tonight, or is it stew? And I remember he's calling out the team, and next thing he goes, Graham, Seamus, Aaron. And I kind of looked around, and I said, is that me? And Aaron's looking across at me and he's giving me the nod. So that conversation never happened. It was never a case of you're in or you're out. And you know what? I know a lot of players might say to themselves, is that the right way to do it? Is that the wrong way to do it? I loved it because it kept me on my toes. You just don't know. Like if you're losing your place, he's not coming over saying, you need to lift it here, boss, now. You're not shifting it. But vice versa, he's never coming over to you when you're going well saying you're going well. And I love that then because it was the other players that you'd feed off. It was their 2 cents that would kind of drive you on. Like, you know, if Graham was turning around to be going, you're flying it here, kid, or keep going, keep going, keep pushing, you're nearly there. John would very rarely come over and let you know how well you're doing, number one, but also how poor you're doing. It was very much left up to the individual. And I love that because I was saying to myself, okay, you not that you don't know where you stand, but it's very much, you know, self-driven. It's self-driven for yourself. So a lot of time, Luke, those conversations were very rarely had. It was a case of like what you hear, what he says in the media. It's the next man up. Do you know, Keane goes over, does an ankle. It's the next man up. If you're not shifting it, it's the next man that will come in and do that job. And that ties back into that competition for places. He left it very much up to us to fight for your place. And if you weren't shifting on a given day, there was another man that was there that was champing at a bit to take that jersey off you.
Well, lads, we have a bit of a quiz at the moment. We said we're going to switch it up, so it's going to be Leinster Championship against Munster Championship. Bubbles and David, I might get you to swap places here. We've got 3 questions for each team, and we'll see who'll be crowned the winner. The loser is going to buy a round for the whole crowd here tonight as well, so there's plenty on the line.
Mac has deep pockets, I know.
So the first question, we're going to go for Seamus and Bubbles. Joe Canning scored 110 in the 28 All-Ireland final, but who was Limerick's top scorer on that day? You can chat together. Well, lads, we're going to have to push you for an answer.
Galan.
No steals.
Galan.
Aaron Galan, final answer? Incorrect. It was Graham Mulcahy with 1-2.
You played.
Now, chance for an early lead here for the Leinster Championship in Mac and David Burke. Who won man of the match in Galway's All-Ireland semi-final win against Tip in 2017?
Time.
David's struggling here. Right, lads, we're going to have to push for an answer.
The Galway man who was playing is going to tell me that it was Joe Canning.
Joe Canning? Incorrect. It was Gerard McInerney. So you're 0 for 1 here. We could be going to the tiebreaker if we're at this stage. Question number 2. Bubbles, Seamus, you ready? Who has scored more in the All-Ireland Hurling Championship, Joe Canning or Henry Shefflin?
Joe Cannon.
So Joe Canning has scored 27 goals and 486 points, which is 567 total. Henry Shefflin has also scored 27 goals, 484 points, 2 less than Joe Canning. First score on the board for the Munster Championship, boys.
Is anyone?
Now, chance to level it up in round 2 here. Mac and David. Who has scored more All-Ireland Hurling Championship goals? Conor MacDonald or Dan Shanahan, the Waterford legend?
Wexford are usually gone fairly early.
I need an answer, lads.
I'll go with me.
You're backing yourself? Yeah. Dan Shanahan has scored 21 goals. Conor MacDonald has scored 22 goals.
And he's Bubbles
Level. We're into the final round of questions. Back down to Seamus and Bubbles. How many Limerick players won an All-Star in 2018? And there's an extra point on offer if you can name all of them. Fingers are Okay, need an answer, lads.
9.
Incorrect. It's 6. Sean Finn, Richie English, Declan Hannon, Dan Morrissey, Keane Lynch, and Graham Mulcahy. 2018. Right, lads, there's a chance for you to win it here with the final question. If not, we will be heading to a tiebreaker. So, Mac, David, how many Galway players won an All-Star in 2017? And there's another extra point on offer if you can name them.
You only need one. Oh,
You only need the one.
We don't need them, so 17.
Well, I know Colm Callan is definitely in the goal because he told me at the All-Stars that he saved the penalty in the Leinster final that I took. I fucking took it. Thanks for me, All-Star, he says.
The answer's 7. David said 8 there for anyone who didn't hear it. The answer's 7. And we're going to a tiebreaker. Right. So, I will take the closest guess here. So the question is, in total, how many points, combining goals and points, were scored across the 2026 Munster Senior Hurling Final and the 2026 Leinster Senior Hurling Final combined? So I need a number from both of you, and whoever gets closest wins.
Cork and Limerick put up some
Overall
scores.
goals and points together from both games.
From the whole Munster Championship.
No, the finals. Munster final, Leinster final. Yeah.
It's Munster final then. 118 to 117 or something like that, was it?
Okay, Bubbles and Seamus, I'm going to go to you for your answer first. So the Leinster final combined score.
Both teams.
Yeah, both teams. Yeah. And then the Munster final. Both, yeah, goals and points.
90.
90.
Go 91.
91.
91. So, there was 121 to 217 in the Munster hurling final, 429 to 415 in the Leinster hurling final. The answer is 84, and it's heading down to Munster.
Clare scoring the Munster.
So make sure you head up to David and Mac afterwards. He'll sort you out with the points there. We are going to cut the stream and open it up to the floor here for a bit of a Q&A if you have any questions for the lads. Since we're cutting the stream, there's nothing off limits, and they have to answer everything contractually. So does anyone else fancy asking any lads a bit of a question? Put the hands in the air.